Good evening. On behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association, I'm Unmesh Dikshit welcoming you all. This is a much needed talk or a topic, and we have none other than Mr. Sanjay Shukla, who is at the helm of the affairs to share his insight, the scenario of affordable housing 2025. At Ahmedabad Management Association, we have been doing such talks, such public forums in the interest of society so that they get more learnings and sharing, and it helps them in their personal and professional life. Thank you very much, our partners. We also have with us Rajendra Bhai. Rajendra Bhai has been a name in the city, supporting many lakhs of people, 60,000 people he was sharing right now, who is a beneficiary from his NGO for the housing segment or as an NGO his support. So thank you very much Rajendra Bhai for joining us. And we have Sanjay Bhai and Sanjay Bhai. So they both are the key people to bring this event at AMA. Along with that, Dr. Savan Godiawala, my president. So let us start this event. After the presentation and sharings are done, you will have a Q&A. As a process, we will felicitate the guests today and will start the event. Thank you very much.
The power, he wants to do something. I think he was working in LIC Housing Finance in Mumbai, and National Housing Bank office was on the upper floor of the LIC Housing Finance. At that time, there was no mobiles and no technology. So the lift of that particular building was getting engaged or allocated for NHB MD for that particular time. 9:45 to 10. So that was the time everybody was starting the office and going. So he went up to tell people that this is not right. He went there to complain. And from the NHB, I think MD himself or some, LIC MD said, अगर आपको लिफ्ट चाहिए तो आप NHB के MD बन जाइए तो लिफ्ट आपके लिए भी रुकेगी. So we all have different kind of motivations or the inspirations. He has the inspirations from the lift to become MD of the National Housing Bank. I know him very facade, so it is very difficult to introduce him. He is a man of focus. He is a man of action. He wants result at any cost, and he has proved this in Tata Capital or Centrum or ING Vaishya. Everywhere where he went, कोई ना कोई vibrations उन्होंने किए हैं, कोई ना कोई change किए हैं. They have made company doing very good. So now we are hoping from him same things in the highest position of the country, where affordable housing, Rajendra Bhai was telling when we were sitting there with, Abhi, there is nothing like affordable housing as of today. We started a company in 2009, and at that time, I know from 2009 to 2015-16, Kashyap will be agree to me, जहाँ पे पान की दुकान पे जाओ वहाँ पे भी अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की बात हो रही थी. So that was the whole euphoria or kind of a thing of affordable housing, which slowly went down after demonetizations or the subsidy lapse or after many reasons or something. So we are keeping our finger crossed that Action Man is there now. He wants to do many things. You are from the field. You suggest him something. You give him idea. And I am taking responsibility or I am taking oath on behalf of him that कि जो हो जितना होगा उतना implement करने की कोशिश कर देंगे for the betterment of the segment. So this is to introduce Sanjay. We wanted to do a panel discussions after his presentations, but Mr. Kirti Bhai is not there. So I think Rajendra Bhai will speak few things. I will put few points for the thoughts or the for the discussion. So from my perspective, there are, when you say affordable housing, there are many perceptions which comes in mind. So there is a perception of mass at large. When you say affordable housing, what normal people think of. When you say affordable housing, what builder thinks of. When you say affordable housing, what housing finance company thinks of. When you say affordable housing, what customer thinks of. So I think these four are the main facets, and you all represent maybe one or another facet. So we should openly, so that panel discussion is not now not happening. So I am going to request Kashyap and Professor Raviji to contribute and talk more on the subject. And as Sanjay ji is going to give a lot of information that what is happening from the NHB side, we should also give him the informations or the right tips that what at the ground level we require it right now. So thank you everybody for coming. It is very short notice. We didn't get more time. Next time we will call him well in advance, and we will call more speakers, and we were not expecting this many people, to be very honest. So I'm just handing over to Sanjay Bhai. Let him share whatever is there from the government side, and then we will take it from Rajendra Bhai, and then we'll take it further on.
Let me just tell that Shuklaji's journey also. So that is very important. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Anil, my good friend, has given this synonym for Shuklaji. This principle just fits into the success. Despite his remarkable achievement, he remains very grounded and humble. The role of managing director of the National Housing Bank is one of the most prestigious positions any housing finance professional will aspire to become. Do you agree with me or not? Yes, sir. Yeah. They're one of the most prominent and last thing somebody would really aspire to, and he has achieved that. For some time, from the private sector to achieve this milestone to truly extraordinary journey, Shuklaji, you have made us proud and honored thus with so much of accomplishment. Before I invite you to come on the dais, let me just give you a brief journey of the incredible journey Shuklaji has gone through. A chartered accountant with more than 30 years of extensive experience in housing and retail asset finance, Shuklaji has consistently demonstrated the ability to lead and transform financial institutions. He began his career in 1991 as an officer in LIC Housing Finance, and in 2024 ascended to the position of managing director in NHB, a remarkable journey and dedication on excellence. He later joined Gujarat Moja promoted company Home Trust, where I had the privilege to work along with him and learning so much of insight of housing finance. Prior to this appointment of NHB, Shuklaji served as the founding managing director, CEO of Centrum Housing Finance. CHFL, the Centrum Housing Finance Limited, achieved more than 1,500 crores of AUM when he quit and joined NHB. So remarkable achievement. So please give one big hand of time. Before CHFL, he was the managing director and CEO of Cent Home Finance, where he successfully turned the company into tripling its asset base under the management and also improving the asset quality in just 3 years of time. Shuklaji played a very, very pivotal role in the business as a business head in consumer asset business of ING Vaishya Bank. He established and expanded the consumer loan vertical. He also played a pivotal role in setting up Tata Housing Capital, Tata Retail Capital Business Vertical for housing finance distribution. His career included 8 impactful years of Citibank as well, where he served not only as a vice president and director of the bank, but also establish a great mortgage business in tier 2, tier 3 cities, especially in the affordable segment. Shukla ji, thank you so much for your inspiration. Dear all, let's all join him. Welcome Sanjay Shukla ji. Shukla ji, the dice is yours. Please come forward. Thank you so much.
So, thank you for such nice word. I don't know whether I deserve that or not, but I am grateful to Joshi Saab and the AMA and Sawan Bhai and Dikshit Saab all. And it was very inspiring to come and talk to you, and especially majority of the people is either of my age group or elder to me. I don't say, but what story was narrated by Sanjay Bhai is a true story. And the genesis of the story, in fact, for the younger generation, which I see sitting over here, if you really want to pursue your dream, nothing can stop you. I did my CA, I was 22, 21 and a half, which was a very early age. And in those days, somebody doing CA at 21 used to think that I'm the most intelligent person on the earth. And I got a job in LIC Housing Finance as the first batch of officer. One or two things he didn't mention, so I'll just clarify. So in those days, and especially those who worked in government, would agree that if you are late by 10 minutes on 3 consecutive days, your one day CL goes. So in those days, those who are familiar with Bombay, to LIC, and this gentleman from whom the lift was reserved, he was none other than Mr. M.J. Fairwani. Those who are familiar with Harshad Mehta, that case, he was the managing director of National Housing at the time. So 9:45 to 10, and I used to get down at Churchgate station, and I used to walk down till Akbar Ali's building. And in those days, we didn't have so much of Uber, Ola in 1991, 92. So by the time you reach office, you are almost half breath because you walk down some 2 kilometers. And so then the liftman tells you, no, you can't take, it is reserved between 9:45. So I went to LIC MD and I said, sir, this is not correct. I lost my 3 days holiday because 9 days I was late. So he said, okay, Shukla, if you want to wait, lift to wait for you, you become an HVMD. And I don't know whether I was destined to reach here or not, but this thought stuck to me. And trust me, when I was in Citibank, I got plenty of opportunity to travel overseas or relocated to overseas. A lot of colleagues which used to work for me traveled to overseas and relocated. But I never relocated because I thought if I move out of India, I'll lose the focus of this. And I don't know whether I was destined to reach here or not. And I didn't come here for any, but it is something it's stuck and it's all destiny. So for the younger generation, the only takeaway, my life story is not very inspirational and all that. So please don't be influenced by that. But only one thing is there. If you want, then destiny will also support you to get what you want. And it requires a lot of sacrifice also. It is not that just because it comes as a bed of roses. There have been instances, but anyway, those are personal. But this was something I thought I'll clarify for the benefit of the youngsters. But if you have to pursue a dream, you have to pursue a dream for years. It's not for a week or months or few years. I'm sure वो होती है ना कि आप किसी को चाहो तो कायनात भी ऐसा कोई कुछ बोल रहा था किसी ने तो मेरे में कायनात मेरी जॉब थी तो ठीक है मतलब आई एम नॉट दैट सो एनीवे सो coming back to affordable housing scenario, see basically this affordable housing subject has been talked about for years, and as Sanjay bhai rightly said that वो पान का दुकान में भी affordable housing और उसके बाद तो क्या हुआ कि जब हाउसिंग फाइनेंस इंडस्ट्री में मैं थोड़ा हिंदी इंग्लिश मिक्स बोलूँगा तो आई थिंक अगर इफ़ यू वांट सम टू कम्प्लीटली बी इन इंग्लिश आई कैन स्पीक दैट ऑल्सो बट आई थिंक इट विल बी गुड टू हैव अ लोकल फ्लेवर ऑल्सो तो अगर जैसे पान की दुकान तो बीच में एक दौर ऐसा आया था कि सब लोग बोलते थे मैं अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग करना है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की डेफिनेशन आई कैन टेल यू इन दिस फोरम देयर इज नो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग डेफिनेशन देयर इज नथिंग नोन एज अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग because what is affordable in Bombay is luxury in Ahmedabad and Baroda. 600 square feet is affordable in Ahmedabad and Bombay, it is a luxury because you don't get 600 square feet houses. So coming back to the definition, there are various definitions. One is under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, one is for the CLSS that I will talk about. So the affordable housing as a concept, it came because see in every city you'll find a slum developing around the premium localities. So in order to decongest that, because all the premium areas also or the upmarket societies also would like the manpower and the workers to come and work. But from there, where these workers come, they come from the nearby slum. So in order to uplift the living standard, this concept came in affordable housing, where the house become affordable. So today, if Naurangpura we talk about, there cannot be affordable housing because the land is not affordable. So you'll have to move beyond Nirma and Thaltej was उधर पे कहाँ जाते हैं सानंद की तरफ वहाँ पे जाके अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग हो सकती है. बट द एडवांटेज ऑफ अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग एक्सपेंडिंग आउटसाइड द सिटी लिमिट्स दैट over a period of time, the infrastructure and the network also reaches to that place. So it is not only affordable housing, it is connected also to the mainstream of the city. Plus, it also helps you in decongesting the city. Now, with the metro rail network coming in almost all the tier A cities, I won't call tier B cities, I think in most of the tier up metro and the tier A cities like Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, the reach of the metro is quite reasonable and people take about 30 minutes time to travel for a 20-kilometer distance or 18-kilometer distance where they found their housing affordable. Government has also taken a lot of initiative to promote affordable housing, and especially Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 1, which is over now. Now we are in the second phase of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. In that you have more than 1 crore houses subsidy we have to deliver. Forget the number of houses. The subsidy has to be delivered. The government credit link subsidy has to be delivered to 1 crore houses in 5 years. And this subsidy, and apart from that, there are 5 other components which government has announced and it has been budgeted in the government scheme. So with put together about close to 2 crore houses will be constructed in the near 1 crore 50 lakh, which is the mandate. But we expect some more housing to come in. And especially in our country, the housing is today's generation have changed this complete mindset. But earlier, a person, the first, I'm talking about one generation back, the thought was, I must get a good job. And the second was, I must construct a house. So the average home buyer age, which was 45 year in 1996, 1997, because I started my career in 1991, and when I used to go, and when I used to see the people coming for loan, they used to be in their late 40s or early 50s, because that was the time when middle India, when I say middle income group, middle India was able to think of housing, because by then his daughter education was almost over or his daughter's marriage was over. Then the third project used to be the house. But with the support of the housing finance companies and banks, which came in 2000, post 2000, I would say, then it became so affordable that even everybody after the job used to think of buying a house. But today, kids or the younger generation, they are again going back to the old thought. They don't want to buy the house because work from home concept has changed their mindset. Because in fact, and that's something which I am sharing with you, the facts that in Bangalore, which used to be the most techie dominated city where most of the house transaction used to take place, now the sales numbers have dropped. And the reason why we, deep dived, the reason is that because most of these techies, they are operating from home. And now the younger generation doesn't want to tie up with one place. Because if you buy a house in Ahmedabad, all the job which you have to look for has to be in Ahmedabad. So that's again a very different mindset and the scenario which is there. But I'm sure people will also understand the importance of property purchase, because it doesn't give only the financial stability. It gives also a status that person knows where I'm going to reside post-retirement or you want to settle down. So this was just a background. So with this, I'll take you through some numbers. Where's my presentation? So one disclaimer, the views are my personal. and it does not represent the views of the organization which I represent. But yes, the insight which I am giving you is something which is a realistic number, and it has the background. So before I move on to my presentation, I also must like to thank all my old friends, because Ahmedabad is like homecoming for me. I was telling Joshi Saab when I was sitting with him, the first time I visited this place in 1996, I came from Calcutta. And after that, not only the city, the entire state has grown on me. So I decided to settle down in Baroda. So I am no more in North India, and I belong to this state only, but I can't speak fluent Gujarati, but I can understand that. So anyway, and I cherished lot good moment when Gujarat with my old colleagues were sitting here, and especially most of them who have come from the housing finance industry. So I take this opportunity to thank them from bottom of my heart. That friends, this is this inspiration, this journey, whatever I have reached and have reached so far, you guys are also equally important and participated in this journey. But for your support and appreciation and acknowledgement of my achievement, I wouldn't have reached here. So thank you, and take about. Thank you. Okay. So, as said, that there is no single definition of affordable housing, and it in respect to income level, property prices, availability of land, and as I explained that what is affordable here may not be affordable in other town. Definition of housing loans eligible under priority sector, which is done by the bank. There, individual housing loans up to 35 lakh with unit cost up to 45 lakh, which falls into priority sector. Priority sector is a sector where government has encouraged the public sector and private sector bank to encourage and lend more and more. And individual housing loan and 25 lakh loan with cost of 30 lakh in other centers. And the earlier one was in the metropolitan cities. And in the carpet area of dwelling unit prescribed under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana up to 110 urban, 110 meter square, which is about 1200 square feet under PMAY urban, and up to 120 meter square under PMAY urban 2.0. And others, individual housing loan up to 10 lakh, 25 lakh, as per the definition, but it is largely loan up to 25 lakhs is defined as a affordable housing loan. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which was urban 1.0, was launched in 2015 under Housing for All mission of Government of India. It was because of the corona and some of the other factors. There was a lot of growth in the first 2-3 years, then they took a back seat for some time. But now it is back. In fact, the current PMAY 2.0, which was launched in September 2024, 1 crore urban households. So the number which I gave you, urban household, it is not that the rural household will also be included. So 1 crore urban household, and largely it will be there in tier 2, tier 3. Because in metropolitan cities, the moment it becomes affordable housing, it goes beyond the city limit. So number may be included here, but that will be primarily for the cities which are just outside the boundary of Bombay or Delhi or Chennai or Bangalore. So that will be typically a tier 2 cities. In the next 5 years, housing loan outstanding of HFC and bank to increase by 2 lakh crore in sub 10 lakh bracket. 2 lakh crore loan, and less than 20 lakh crore in 0 to 25 lakh. So 0 to 10 lakh is typically very small units which are there in tier 3, tier 4 cities. So if you look at the numbers, 2 lakh crore for tier 3, tier 4 cities, and 20 lakh crore for tier 1 and tier 2 cities, which is again a big number. And improvement in the accessibility of the target segment to the formal housing finance system, because when we talk about affordable housing, we have to look at the target segment. Okay, 20-25 lakh loan, you may forget in smaller cities. But when you go to Bombay, a taxi wala takes loan of 25 lakh. But how to assess the income of a taxi wala which is 25 lakh, which is a very difficult proposition, and it is very, very difficult to estimate. So there have been various mechanisms which are being followed by the private sector banks and housing finance companies, where they have an informal system of assessing the income. So I'll tell you one story. In fact, Sunil is also, when we started the affordable housing, so suppose a chai wala sells chai, how do we, because they are not the one regular one who follow the tax laws and file the income tax return. So one day I and Sunil sat in front of a chai wala, और पटरी पे जो लगाता है, सुबह से 2 घंटे हम बैठे, हमने कहा ये सब 50 कप चाय बेची, तो इफ यू टेक 8 hours वर्किंग तो उसके 200 कप चाय हो गई, एंड वी टेक 4 रुपीज, इन दोज डेज द चाय वॉज बीइंग सोल्ड फॉर 5 रुपीज और 4 रुपीज, अभी तो 10 रुपए से नीचे कुछ मिलता नहीं है, तो इसकी 200 रुपए की रोज की इनकम है. So multiplied by that 6,000. So that's how we arrived at the eligibility. But now you have more formal system where income assessment is possible, because today the loan is there with everybody. आप चाहे मोबाइल खरीदने जाएं, आपका सिविल रिकॉर्ड बन जाएगा. आप वॉशिंग मशीन खरीदने जाएं, आपका सिविल रिकॉर्ड बन जाएगा. So today it is possible to have a civil record or credit history even if you buy a consumer household, which is any electric appliances. So coming back to affordable housing, supply side invention. So we have 3 type of schemes in the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. One is beneficiary. So I'll give you the background and the opportunity which is there. Then I'll come back to you on the question how we can increase the supply, because apart from having a monologue and giving my presentation, I want to take this opportunity to have the suggestion that how we can expand the scope of affordable housing, and how we can supplement this affordable housing. One is beneficiary-led construction, where the landowner is having land in his name, property in his name, and he approaches the state government or the central government fund for the construction, where the construction to the extent of 50-60% is subsidized, and he has a one-time grant of 3 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees depending on the area and the size of the property. So, but this is a beneficiary where the land has to be in the name of the family. Affordable housing in the partnership, which is basically AHP projects, where the private-public partnership is there, and he purchases property in the these projects. Affordable rental housing, this is a concept which is evolving, and it is not very common, because affordable rental housing is that where a property is rented to you, and over a period of time you become the owner of the property, which is taking time, and this concept will evolve. And especially those who have access to the overseas housing market info, they would know that in the what is called social housing in the European countries is what we are trying to start here also. Demand side, then Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the interest subsidy scheme, where anybody taking loan will be given a subsidy of about 1.86 lakhs in the next 5 years to subsidize the interest rate which he is paying. So today, if somebody is taking a loan at about 11% or 12%, post this interest subsidy scheme, the effective rate of interest is 8%, and 8% lending today to affordable segment is as good as prime segment lending, because prime segment we get loan up to at 8% only. If I were to go today and take a loan, I will get at 8% or 8.5%. So with this, we have been trying to extend the support of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to the urban poor, because a loan of 20 lakh and 25 lakh, not urban poor, economic weaker section is the right word to talk. So, Indian housing finance market, currently the outstanding loan are 2,083 crores, which was there in 1986-87, has reached to 33 lakh as on 30th September. So just see 2,000 in 1986, in the 40-year journey, it has reached to 33 lakh crore, which is quite a huge number, and especially with the focus of most of the banks and HFCs, this we have been able to achieve this number. And this is just to give a sense of the affordable housing market. First 2 numbers are important, because as on 30th September, loan up to 10 lakh, which is typically a loan in tier 3, tier 4 cities up to 10 lakh. So it has 2 lakh 5,000 crore. And loan up to 10 to 25 lakh, which is affordable housing in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, It 8,41,000 crore. So out of this 33 lakh, 10 lakh crore is coming from affordable housing segment. So country as a whole, we have one third of the loan outstanding, which comes from the affordable housing segment. The size-wise distribution, okay, this is the bank contribute about 78%, and we as a housing finance company contribute up to 22%. So we have enough opportunity, and especially in smaller cities, which all of us. And now this is the number which I want to just share, because since I'm having this discussion today in Gujarat, so 8% of outstanding of the total loan in the country, which is from Gujarat, and if you see country as 100, so this state contributes 8%, which is quite a sizable number. And it is not only because people are more loan centric. It's not that people are loan centric. The way the builder of Gujarat, they have approached this piece, where I remember, unfortunately, that time there was no Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, but Sanjay Bhai used to have a company called Swar Silp, if I'm not mistaken. So there he was creating Nandan 1, 2, Nandan 1, 3, and it was way back in 90, 99, 2000, 95, 96. Either what is this Nandan 1, 2? So he was selling two-bedroom house with all furniture. That was a very new concept in those days. And typically that was falling into affordable housing, because those projects were not being sold at a very high price. But all these, so in those days, if people like, some builders having those innovative product. So today, that is why Gujarat contributes 8% of the total outstanding. So in the other words, the benefit of affordable Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 1 and 2 will be extended to the resident of the state in a big way, because it all depends how you induce the takers. 8% of the total disbursement also for the first half is coming from Gujarat. And 9% of the HFC branches all India is having in one state. So that also talks about the potential we have in this state. See, out of 100, and we have 26, 27 state and union territory. Out of that, 9% branches are here only. The total, if you see the other side, the central assistance committed 21,064 crore, which is 10% of the total central assistance. And so the central assistance released for the affordable housing for the state is 19,000 crore. So in fact, government is also supporting this initiative. So my endeavor would be, because these were the first few things which I thought will set the tone for the affordable housing discussion. And we have also started credit risk guarantee scheme for a small ticket loan, which is going to help the affordable housing segment loans where it is in default. The government is guaranteeing the loan up to 70% of the total outstanding, which is a very big support. And the guarantee fee which is paid is 0.5% one time. So if the loan tenor is 15 years, we have only 3 paisa per year. So this was my initial thought, and thank you for giving me a patient hearing. And I'll be more than happy to have a discussion which will be involving the whole group, not select few will ask the question. The rest of them probably, they believe that what this man has talked hasn't understood my meaning. So if there is any clarification, anything, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
I would request Rajendra Bhai, please come forward. And yeah, thank you.
Much, Mr. Shukla, Sanjay Bhai. When we talk about affordable housing, I can claim to know a lot, because Sanjay Bhai was the pioneer in Ahmedabad city for affordable housing. But he did not really know that who is going to buy those houses, because he had never dealt with a segment which would want to buy affordable housing. And that is how Saath joined hands, that we could create a customer pipeline, people living in, low-income neighborhoods, slums, informal sector. they would be the ones interested in buying the house. And, so we worked with the housing finance company. Micro housing finance company was one of the first, with DBS, affordable housing, and others, in order to create a good ecosystem by which the customer would be made aware of what is housing finance, what is, what does it entail buying a house, what is super built up area, what is EMI, etc. We worked all that, and believe me, we created a very large movement of people wanting to buy affordable housing. The willingness was there, the appetite was there also. But then what happened is that the houses started becoming unaffordable. I think when we started off, you could buy a house for 4 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, they could buy a house. Today, I don't know, maybe it has gone up to 15 lakhs, yeah, which has really become unaffordable. I'm glad that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has come into the picture, and I can see that it is making a good impact, especially in the second and third tier cities. And sometimes, along with the state government and the central government trying to implement a scheme, even in first tier cities, it is making an impact. I personally have been involved in one project, Surat City, where people who were living along the railway lines were asked to evict, and then they could buy, the government offered them housing in Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and they could take a loan, and there were housing companies, Swatantra, with whom we dealt, which were willing to give them loans. So I think that is a good thing, but I have two suggestions, sir. One is that, somehow in our mind, we say affordable housing is new housing. But if you look at, the existing situation, there could be slums, there could be chawls, there could be other low-income housing, which is already existing housing stock. Now the idea seems to be that you wipe out the existing housing stock and build new housing stock, which really would be a waste of resources. We have seen that there is a significant demand for incremental housing loans. Somehow if that can be made easier for people to avail incremental housing loans, it would make a big difference. And the ones who have got incremental housing loans, what I have seen is that they would be having a ground floor building, they would add 1 or 2 floors, and then they would give it out on rent. So, that rental issue is also addressed. What I forgot to say right from the beginning is India is going to be now driven by urbanization. Urban areas are going to be the economic engines. And urbanization is really migrants coming to urban areas, contributing. Now, where are you going to house them? So certainly housing becomes important. The other topic I wanted to raise, but I don't know how to go about it, but I'll take a risk, is that who is the person after the house is bought, or even in the decision of buying the house? I think the woman plays a very significant role. Which house, where house. But over here with, my fingers, I can count the number of women present over here. And really, this is a very important discussion which is happening. You are over here. And I think that if somehow the ecosystem, developers, NGOs, banks, etc., if more women were involved, then I think wiser and better decisions could be made. So that is my submission, sir. Thank you.
I will answer one by one, and I think Joshi Saab has raised all the valid point. In fact, I forgot to mention also. But sir, I would like to submit that this has been already taken into consideration, especially your first question on how if already slum is in existence. So we want to, not if we want to, remove them from there, if you look at the new model in some of the places in Madhya Pradesh and in Maharashtra, where because when there is slum, the title is imperfect. So even if you construct or you're having a house there, the ownership of this cannot be transferred. So for that, what some of the state government have taken a call, and what you, as rightly mentioned in Surat, they were given the opportunity to relocate to some other place, because the place which they were occupying on the by the side of the railway line, which was not legally owned by them. So the transfer, and it was railway land. So they were given money to, either they were compensated, or this property was given to some developer to construct some mall or something else where he could, manage the FSI and take the additional FSI. Like in Rajasthan, in the housing policy, if you are constructing affordable housing, a low income housing, then the extra FSI which you get when you are constructing the bigger units of 1,000, 1,500 square feet and above. So you manage this FSI benefit, you are compensated whatever financial loss you are facing here. The second thing is in Maharashtra also, now what they are doing, if it's a slum and it is occupied by a group of people, or some slum dwellers, so that they are relocating them to a rented property, and they are constructing and handing over the right with the property with the correct legal documents. Because today, just even if you look at the terms of the loan is not a 15-year loan. It is something which is there for the generation, because even if you pay the 15-year loan, the title gets transferred to your next generation. Then how it's transferred to third generation. So something which is legalized, though legalized is not the right word, it is being given with the intent that it becomes something with a clear title. So that is one of the reason why they are not evicted, they are relocated and new property is constructed. Coming to the women borrower, you say that, so we have very few women present over here, but as a part of the scheme, even NHB has a scheme where if the co-borrower is a woman, then we give interest concession. Not only that, some of the state government also encourage, if the ownership is in the name of a woman, they get the stamp duty concession. So we have been trying to give all these incentive, so that many more women borrower come forward and the home ownership is transferred more to women, rather than having a dominated society which we had few years back. I think I see a lot of change coming in the current scenario. In fact, every 9 home loan application which are coming to us, out of 10, we find them at least home loan co-borrower is a woman, maybe for interest benefit 0.5% or 1%, whatever they get. And majority of the states like UP, Rajasthan, where they have announced a decent concession of stamp duty, there also a lot of home ownership is having either jointly with the women or only in the name of a women. There are still few a part of society which is getting registered and in the name of male, but I think majority by and large people are, not only because there's a financial incentive for them, and 2% of the property value is huge, and especially at that age where the property buyer is a middle class India. I hope I have answered your question, and if anything is there, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you, sir.
Kashyap.
Uh, Yeah, thank you, sir. So, I mean, nothing as far as the suggestions or recommendations concerned, because you yourself have been worked in the housing finance industry, and I had a privilege to meet you again. Visited you 2 months back when you just joined with Jayesh sir. So that time only he started recommendations, how he wants to shape up in general the affordable housing segment, as well as the governance model also, in terms of taking care of interest of the customers. And that's something where he also knows where is the loophole, and how the customers are exploited. So that's, it was very positive interaction that we had. And today when I 2-3 days back only, I had a discussion with sir, and he said that we are coming with the credit guarantee scheme, which is more, you know, uh, uh, I think it will be a more proactive approach, and where I think even the housing finance company also will be more courageous to give loans to people where the loan amount is less. What uh, Rajendra sir was mentioning about, classic case of Surat Municipal Corporation, where loan amounts are very small. Sometimes it's very easy, and it's very like uh, straightforward scenario where we are giving a 10 or 15 lakh rupees loan, and the volume is also going up, but it's very difficult to give 2 lakh rupees loans to 5 people. So I think that's something very important step, where if we can actually work out and able to get those guarantees which we can execute. And refinance, already he mentioned that refinance may uh, as per the potential and capability of the housing finance company, if we'll get more and more refinance, then I think that benefit can be passed on to the housing finance sector. But as a since I have worked with, I think, both of you, I mean, Sanjay sir also and Rajendra sir also, uh, and as you rightly said, I mean, in 2009-10, Narol, where only there were only 2-3 projects which we could count on, like Umang, which started at that point of time, and Om Shanti Nagar 1 and 2, and the rest of the part was a barren field. I mean, and from there, today it's even difficult to find a house at 25 lakh rupees. So there are two things. One is, of course, the challenge of having affordable housing, but it's also success stories where those people who have purchased a house at 5 lakh rupees, their valuation also gone up, and it's also efforts that all of us have made together. One thing, I think the challenge I could see in general is, sometimes what happens is, whenever the houses are purchased, and the affordable segment, when the people working in the informal sector started living together, maintaining those properties even after 5 years is sometimes becoming a challenge, and where I guess even organizations like Saath and the developer, and somewhere some role if we all can play, and make sure that wealth creation is happening for them, so that there will be a value of money for those customers staying there, so that less delinquency which we can expect, and eventually have a better ecosystem or society where I think we can work together. It's something I.
One of the very valid point which you raised, that especially uh, maintenance of these society, the rest I will answer one by one, but this was the most valid point, and I have also seen, especially in whichever project is done with 1 bedroom or 1.5 bedroom, there the bigger challenge is the maintenance of those societies or those units. And especially I had an opportunity in my previous assignment to fund one of those building on second hand sale, and when the person defaulted, I went myself, I realized the lift is not working, and climbing up to fourth floor or fifth floor at least was not my cup of tea in the current days. Had it been 20 years back, probably I would have been. So I'll tell you how to overcome this. In fact, there is a very smart move taken by some of the developers when they are in the process of developing. See what happens typically when you take a loan on these properties. These properties are typically 6 to 7 lakh or 8 lakh maximum. Take 20,000 rupees extra and do it as a security deposit or the deposit for the maintenance. Because see, this segment of the society which we deal with, they are not in a position to give you 500 or 600 rupees or 800 rupees maintenance per month. Because if even the maintenance is charged, they are not paying, because there are some two union, two groups, and they will say this president is off, no, will not pay, and this has happened. So one of the builder in Calcutta, he did it, and today the property is, he what he did, he said 5% will be towards the corpus, and even in housing finance company, we fund your garage or parking space. So some took exception because that 5% deviation is there with the companies. So we started funding 5% extra. So on 35 lakh, 7 lakh loan, it is 35,000. So if there are 50 properties or 100 properties, it becomes a huge sum. With that, 35 lakh, if there are 100 properties, 35 lakh, then maintenance also can be outsourced, and then we gave the responsibility in the local household, that in your block, this is the budget, all of you see, extra you pay on your own, because there the society cannot take the ownership of getting it maintained at the cost of society. So these are the new ideas, and we discuss as we grow. we ourselves starts finding the solution. It is not the solution has come in the rule book or it came from any management college. When they realize how to resolve this, like when you're thrown in the water, either you will sink or you'll come out. Where you come out and you find 110 reasons how to get out of it. But coming back to the subject, I think this subject is well addressed, and I think we still need to find out, and the answer is within the group only, that people who are buying, that if I charge 5% extra and keep it towards the corpus. So when builder hands over the property to the society, he hands over the entire corpus to the committee which is being formed after due election or whatever is the process. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you very much for your valuable time. My questions is on, see, all people are talking about two, three scenarios in economy. One, gold import has increased, rupee depreciations by the day. How do you see the interest scenario in 2025 and the effect in the housing finance industry?
Predicting interest rate scenario is a combination of various factors, and predicting that is very difficult for any individual, because even the if there is a war, if there is any epidemic, if there is a currency fluctuation, so these are the external factor which is beyond your and my control. But going by what we have seen in the recent past, I think it's going to be more or less same. Could be 25, 50 basis point here and there. In fact, yesterday RBI has come up with the advisory to NBFCs or bank, where they have asked them to give fixed rate loan. And why it has come? Because we see lot of merit in fixed rate loan, because the customer knows what he is going to pay over a period of time. So now coming to the mortgages, it is a very, very difficult to have a fixed rate for 15 years. So we have started a mortgage securitization company. The entire US and European and American countries, the mortgage is funded by securitization, which was not there. So NHB has taken an initiative, and we have set up a company which will be operational in the month of March and April. So where you originate 100 crore loan, I will securitize it, give you the spread, and you can offer 15-year or 12-year, 13-year fixed rate mortgage. So at least interest rate fluctuation is one thing. But if something like some mechanism like this comes in, then at least consumer interest is taken care to the great extent. But interest rate, I think, has been hovering around 25, 50 basis point here and there for the last 3-4 years. And I think we are having a very reasonable rate currently. So let's see how it works, because it all depends on the country, state also. We are in a very comfortable state. But look at the smaller countries which are going through turmoil, the interest rates have touched the roof. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. First of all, delighted to get this insight of affordable housing from you. If I speak about myself, we have been in affordable housing since 20 years, and we have built more than 5,000 apartments. And by affordable, we mean people who buy from the bottommost cadre of the pyramid, like vegetable vendors, part-time cooks, rickshawalas, etc., even Harijans. So we have sold apartments to all these people, and they have taken loans. Now the issue that we face is that most of these people are from unorganized sector. So about 40% of our total units that we have sold are from the unorganized sector. And they get a very big issue of getting loans, since they don't have income proofs or PAN card or IT returns. So I just have a small suggestion, like akin to nationalized banks who have to deploy a certain percentage of their total loans to agriculture loans. So similarly, can it not be possible that all banks have to deploy, for example, a meager percent, maybe 1% of their total disbursements to affordable housing, and that too in the unorganized sector, because they still get loans from some or other housing finance company, but then they have to pay a bomb. They pay like 13%, 14%, 15%, and then many of them shy away. Many of them are not able to buy. So this is one issue that is currently being faced.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when I was giving my presentation and before I started the presentation, I mentioned that now even the nationalized bank also have been asked to design a program, and I am happy to share with you that 5-6 nationalized bank have already shared the program and where it will be the loan will be to informal sector. And one of the reason it is backed by the guarantee scheme which I talked about. So loan up to 20 lakh, property up to 35 lakh, and if it is guaranteed to the extent of 70% by the government, that also encourages the nationalized bank or any lender for that matter to lend to this sector of economic weaker section of the society. So this is an offering. It has already been it has started. In fact, people have started taking guarantee and issuing and giving the loan checks. So you'll get to see the nationalized bank also very soon in the next 3 months, because 2-3 banks, public sector bank, have already started the program, and this was a mandate from the Ministry of Finance that urban poor or people not having formal income document should be given priority. So the concern which came from the banking side that the security, then the government went back and said you have a house property as security, but since the liquidity of those houses is not that easy, so we are giving you 70% government guarantee also, so that you are left with the 25-30%, which eventually any property will not get eroded to 25-30%, even if the valuation is inflated. So I think that will help the segment of the society by most of the public sector bank. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So the first one was the credit guarantee scheme that you talked about. Do you see a risk of underwriting practices by HFCs getting diluted because 70% of the loan exposure is getting covered? And a second question was, recently we are seeing a lot of delinquencies coming in the MFI sector. One of the reasons being talked about is over leverage. So do you think there can be a ripple effect of this on the affordable housing space?
Okay. So as far as the credit underwriting standard is concerned, so even the guarantee scheme, the guarantee company will also do a second level of check on sample basis to ensure that we do not overvalue the property, and to the great extent it is mitigated, but 30% loan is going to be on your book, and out of the 70% guarantee which we will underwrite, only 75% will be paid. Rest 25% will be paid on the completion of the recovery proceeding. So you are only going to get 50%, which is a big breather for you, because so relaxation in underwriting standard is not apparent now, and especially you know that in the last 3-4 years, most of the companies who have gone overboard have realized that they cannot take the customer on the over leverage theory and ask them to pay multiple times of their income. So everybody has started being conservative. So that will be taken care of. And coming back to the sector default, the default has come because of the 2-3 reasons, because people were over leveraged and they took multiple loan, and some of the housing finance companies, they themselves offered multiple loans. In quest to have more and more disbursement, they kept taking over the loans, and I think that is coming to stop to a great extent, because even everybody is monitoring those loans. So in fact, if you recall, a few days back there was a article in Times of India on the LTV bubble. So that message has already gone, and but still it all depends on the economy also. It all depends, but which we see very in a very positive trajectory. So I think, and with this, and now the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the other feature is, which I forgot to talk about. Loan will only, subsidy will only get paid if the loan is current and in next 5 years. So 5 years the customer has to keep his loan current. And any loan which is current for 5 years will not get delinquent in 6th year. So that is how we are trying to correct the measure. So no company will take the risk of underwriting a customer who is slightly on the borderline.
And sir, any specific budget expectations on affordable and non-affordable side,
Would
both
like
on
to
the PMAY
refrain.
as well as on
Would
the
like
interest?
to refrain because
Sure.
being on this side of the table, so would like to refrain from this
Sure,
question.
sir. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for a wonderful session. I wanted to ask that there has been a long pending demand for the industry status to the real estate sector because a lot of benefits are there. So that can we expect something in the budget for that, or it has been a long pending demand? So any views on that?
So the views is, I think they are still working on that, and what is there in the budget that only the people who are preparing the budget knows. And so let's wait and watch. I think there's a long pending demand, so should be something in, and it all depends how they perceive. But I'll tell you, even in terms of the real estate sector, if you look at the trajectory in the last 3-4 years, it's not been on the great trajectory. See, post COVID, it has just picked up. So, whether the industry status comes or not, even people, whatever the benefits are with the industry status, in fact, if you look at some of the government concessions, like somebody doing affordable housing, they were allowed some concession, and if you're creating affordable housing fund, so those are things. Let's wait and watch. I would not like to comment on this at this point of time.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for this uh, sharing of information. So I teach at the Faculty of Planning in CEPT University, and we do look at affordable housing and also at real estate, and try to look at it from the planning side, urban planning side of things. So on the finance side, you have talked of these things, but there is also this cost of land and the land supply side of things. So, say on that part, say if a developer goes and wants to apply for a loan, I mean, would there be possibilities of doing something there? Because the cost of land is constantly increasing, and that in many cities has become a big issue why the cost of housing has become really unaffordable. Obviously, the planners are to blame for some part of that, but equally true that can the cost of land be brought down is a question.
So, sir, as far as the land availability and especially the cost of land is concerned, most of the state housing board and the development authorities, they come up with the scheme for land allotment, plot allotment, or the flat allotment. So, and that there it's all priced and subsidized by the government. In fact, like in recent in Maharashtra, we have Maha Housing, which is building in the outskirts or allotting land in the outskirts of the town. So that is already there, and especially in Gujarat, also a lot of work has happened. So you may not see the land allotment because land is very, very expensive in the cities which we see. But if you look at the Palanpur, Disa, there a lot of plots are being, sold by the state authorities for the construction of the property, and especially in the bigger cities like Surat, Ahmedabad, Baroda, there you have flats for economic weaker section, and which is being sold at a concession. So with the lock-in period also for some time, that you can't trade on just because the lottery you get it in the lottery. So land is, and especially other states, UP and MP, they are having a separate lottery scheme for economic weaker section. So land availability is not in plenty. So it is not being allotted on the shelf basis that you come over the counter and you get the land. So that is being done in most of the states, sir.
Our studies indicate that total proportion of land that gets allotted, even say the total land supply that comes into the market, that is so minuscule that your EWS demand, it's very, very difficult to address it using that.
So I think with the affordable housing scheme and the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and especially the infrastructure getting extended outside the city. When you have a metro connectivity, that is a matter of time. It may take 2 years, 3 years. Today, if you look at Baroda, the city has gone so much beyond what used to be. There today, the land is available, and to some extent, you will have to undergo that pain of commuting for a period of time. Like people who went to Boisar in Bombay, 5 years later, Boisar was part of the extended Bombay. So that whatever is affordable today may be out of limit, but tomorrow over a period of time, so we have to sacrifice either the time or the cost for some time. Thank you.
Thanks. And just to put this on the table, most of the metros in small cities are actually running on a loss. So while we think the metro solves the problem, the government is actually bearing the burden of cost, because most of the metros in small cities are not being able to achieve break even. Even after 10 years of operation, they are not able to do that. Delhi Metro, I believe, again has gone back into a loss. So while we think of transport as a solution to increase affordability
Affordability.
affordability of land, we need to look at both the sides.
So,
I don't know. I'm not an expert on transport, so I will not comment there.
okay.
But
So I'll tell you a recent, in fact, those who are from north, and now this Delhi has started extended the metro to till Meerut. Meerut, those who know, is about 90 kilometer, and it takes about 50-55 minutes. So of course the transportation infrastructure, if it is extended, see, and Meerut cost of property is one third of Delhi or outskirts of Delhi. So obviously, because today we have the bigger challenge of transportation. So unless one of that is solved, because what happened in Boisar, Tata sold property for 10 lakh, 8 lakh. Everybody thought was this property, who will buy, who will stay. But trust me, the rickshaw driver, the taxi driver who were staying in the slum, they said, my daughter, my wife will stay safe if I have a property with lock and key. So they went there, and in fact, out of curiosity, I was talking to one of the taxi driver that you commute 1 hour to get a hold. The taxi was parked in Mira Road, because beyond Mira Road it's Boisar. So he says, हाँ साहब 2 घंटे का ट्रैवल है, बट मेरा वाइफ और बेटी बेटा सब सुरक्षित है. हम पहले जहाँ रहता था तो हम रात में जंजीर लगा के सोता था, कोई चोरी करके ले जाता था. तो ठीक, वी ऑल्सो हैव टू सैक्रिफाइस समथिंग फॉर द सेक ऑफ द फैमिली, either some luxury, or you may say some time. So definitely transport is will to great extent, and the infrastructure available in the vicinity of the area where it's being called, so called, the shifting of the affordable housing. Thank you.
Can I have one more question?
Yeah, please.
Huh. So one was on this rental housing. While ARCs, affordable rental housing complexes, that is one way of looking at housing. But in the real estate sector nowadays, the rental housing is also emerging as co-living, co-working, that kind of rental housing. Right. So can there be a different policy for that? Because even the middle income groups, though they may invest in housing one city, they are a mobile group. They keep moving from city to city, and they would not want to invest in every city. So, but right now, I believe we did some very preliminary studies. The developer develops properties, but intermediaries that can manage these properties, we don't have a mature market to look at that component. And so co-living and co-working spaces, they don't become widely available in many cities. So can there be some financial incentive for that?
So as I mentioned that it is in the very infancy stage, and we had just had 2 meetings, and we are quite hopeful, because given the housing stock which is available in surplus is some of the cities, because every city today is having a decent amount of stock which is available under lock and key. For 2 reasons. One, as an individual, we don't want to rent it out in certain state, because there it becomes a litigation issue if the tenant is not vacating the property. But I think the concept what we have picked up from the social housing which is there, because as I said that it is under study, and we see lot of opportunity in this, and we are also talking to various agencies to find out what is the way out. And coming to the urban poor and economic weaker section, in fact, I think under Deen Dayal Gram Antodaya Yojana, some work is happening, but that will be given at a very concessional rate. But once the affordable rental housing piece takes up, and some demonetization, dematerialization of the housing stock, because today the bigger challenge is like Airbnb. Why I'm talking about Airbnb, because that this concept is familiar to most of you, can sell or rent it out a part of the property, and it's just a wild thinking. And not that people who are there in the study group, they all are giving mulling over various ideas. So something like that, because like Nest is a concept, it's a website which for youngsters, they make the room available. So similarly, another thought is being developed, that why can't we have a rental housing, because I know I'm going to be in Noida for 1 year, I get a house, because going through broker network, and then landlord also thinking, yeah, who will be the next. So something is being worked out, and since it is a part of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana too, I'm sure in the next 1 or 2 years something concrete will come out. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
So I
જિગ્નેશભાઈ આગળ આવો ને કંઈક ફરી કેસર સિટી કેવી રીતે થાય, આપણે બધા પાછું કામ ચાલુ કરવું છે એટલા બધા ભેગા કર્યા છે.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Jignesh Goyani. The main issue which we feel on the site is like during the construction period of 2-3 years, the EMI which starts from the first day of first installment for the buyers, right? So that is what the main concern, because to keep it on regularly for 2-3 years until the possession was done, right? And mainly when the house is from 5 to 10 lakh or 15 lakh rupees. So that time the monthly income of the family is also from 15,000 to 30,000 maximum, right? So that time of the case, if some marriage happens or someone is ill in the home, or someone is some education problem or some little bit family problem comes on the money matters, then the customer is going to cancel, and then bank overcomes to the customer, and many issue is there. So that is what the main thing is in running projects, completed projects, and the future projects. This is what the continuously happening from 2000, which we are saying, and nobody is there is no solution until now.
So coming to the moratorium availability, I think Nationalized Bank and some of the companies are giving.
But not for the affordable one, where the loan amount is less than 10 lakhs.
Affordable also.
Most of the bank is not actually willing to do the file also.
Now some private sector bank, especially, I'll not take the name because that's not right from my part, but small finance bank, they have started. And RBI also permits the moratorium period. It is not the moratorium is not, but whenever, since I have come from that side of the table to this side of the table, so I tell you my thought process, that we wanted to test the availability of the resources with the customer. And today, especially the segment which we tend to shift from the rental to ownership, if there is a dual burden of rent here and EMI there, then it is very, very difficult for them. So what happens, most of the players, they don't charge EMI, they only charge the interest pre-EMI, which is only on the disbursed portion. So typically what happens when you book the property, you have 10% or 15%, 20%, because you are in the business,
Yeah.
you know how the construction progresses. And similarly, suppose somebody who is taken a property in year 1, and in year 1, maximum disbursement could happen is 15 to 20% or 30%. 30% PMI will not be such a big amount. And what happens next year, as we step into the next year, then the family income also goes up. That is the basic concept on which you underwrite a loan.
Yeah, true.
Whereas your cost will remain constant. So next year, say you got another 20, 30, so that the property is 70% complete, you take 40%. So that also can be managed. Third year, in 25 to 30 months, you'll have to hand over the property. By then, the rental will stop and family income also keeps going. So that was one of the thought, but still, RBI has permitted the bank to give the moratorium. So post Corona wave 2, lot of people, affordable housing companies started giving moratorium of 6 months. But
Yeah,
that was-
because most of the case we see is more than 20% case are failed. So that's why they started.
yeah. So I think this started, it's a matter of time.
And last
people
2
will
years,
also-
this ratio from increased from 20% to 40%.
Yeah, yeah. So it will come over a period of time. RBI permits. It is not that something is forbidden by the law or the regulation, but people don't want to take the risk because typically with this sector, what they have experienced, in case if you don't let them pay on day one, even as a PMI, which is a very small portion, the habit of repayment is completely gone, because if suddenly after 25 months you appear and say, where is my EMI? Then, so if you look at the quantum of EMI, which is very minuscule, PMI, which is called
Yeah,
pre-MI,
true.
which is very minuscule, and next year your income goes up. So that is quite balanced. But still, if some player wants to actively give more loan and give a longer moratorium, they can give. There is nothing in the law which forbids them. It is for the builder who is asking them to create the approved loan. I know that you have the project approval. So there you can negotiate with the companies. That is also possible. That you give 6 month moratorium to my, or 1 year moratorium to my borrowers, which of course they will agree, sir.
And second thing which we see is the gap between, like you said, job field customers. Like one used to stay for 6 months or 12 months or 2 years kind of. So for that, it's like time sharing business kind of model. Something should be there, or some finance available should be there. So both way win-win situation can be there. And one more thing is like EMI lapse or something like any uh, issues in repayment, right? So that time, that instead of moratorium period, the refinancing of that lapse by the means the same bank or same institute or someone else, right? So that can be also get the customer on track.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it's a good suggestion and a good thought also. We'll work on this and we'll come back to you on this. It's a good thought.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार जी।
नॉर्मली सर, मैं अहमदाबाद की बात करूँ तो अफोर्डेबल सिर्फ एक नाम के लिए रह गया है। अगर 3 BHK किसी को परचेज करना है तो उसकी वैल्यू है अप्रोक्सीमेटली 90 to 95 लाख। अब बेसिकली सेल डीड वैल्यू जो है वो 45 से बिलो ही होती है पॉसिबली। तो उसमें जो बहुत सारा ऐसे वर्ग है जिसके लिए 45 बैंक लोन हो जाएगी और रिमेनिंग जो पोर्शन है वो कैश पोर्शन रहता है। जो कोई भी सैलराइड पर्सन है वो कैश सेल्फ फंडिंग करना पॉसिबल नहीं है। तो ऐसा जो बहुत बड़ा क्राउड है उसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं जिससे वो क्लाइंट अपना ड्रीम हाउसेस परचेज कर पाए?
तो पहली बात तो 3 बेडरूम अफोर्डेबल नहीं होता है, वो लग्जरी होता है। मैंने अभी अफोर्डेबल की आपको डेफिनेशन दे दी। 600-700 स्क्वायर फीट अफोर्डेबल होता है। और जहाँ तक सेल डीड वैल्यू, जंतरी वैल्यू की बात है, I will refrain, and I am sure people are enough who understand the business, don't know how it can be done and whether they are doing or not, but this is something as a housing finance। अगर आप अफोर्डेबल की बात करें, अफोर्डेबल में जहाँ पे भी 600-700 स्क्वायर फीट हमने सूरत में देखा, हमने बड़ौदा में देखा, पूरा जंतरी वैल्यू, जो जंतरी वैल्यू है उसका ही रजिस्ट्री होता है, बिकॉज अफोर्डेबल सिटी के बाहर होता है। आप जो एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं वो सिटी के अंदर है जहाँ जंतरी वैल्यू चेंज नहीं हुई है या पहले की है। शहर के बाहर में तो जो आज जंतरी वैल्यू है वही परचेज वैल्यू है, तो वहाँ पे सर ये फर्क नहीं आता है। पीछे
this 45 lakh limit is already gone.
Yeah, the subsidy is coming back again, sir.
Yes, subsidy is coming back again, but not should be with this kind of limit.
It
of
is not
45 lakhs
coming.
or kind of
No. The subsidy is coming only with the limit of property.
limit of property of size.
Size and the income of the family.
Yeah, income of the family and loan amount.
Yeah. Loan amount also 20. Loan amount is also 20. 9 lakh income, 600 odd square feet, 700 square feet, and 1100 depending on the city.
Because previously what happened is for like from 45 lakhs, person is taking the loan of 40
I know,
lakhs.
sir. There were some.
and
Sir, there were
still
some
he is getting
issues.
2.66
तो
lakhs.
इसीलिए
that
इस
is
बार
not-
हमने सब्सिडी को 5 हिस्से में डाला है.
Yeah.
5 साल में आएगी, so that the real borrower will have.
Real borrower plus real benefit person.
Yes, exactly the same thing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hello? Anyone else?
There is 2.67 subsidies given in 2,67,000 rupees, and this PMA 2 1.80. Why is it so, sir?
Why it is? Because that was given upfront on, and the discounting was at a different level. Now, since we are spreading it over a period of 5 years, so discounting factor has been changed. And 1,80,000 is also a big amount. So 267 was what he was referring to. The benefit owner also gone, beneficiary also gone. Here, at least for 5 years, you will see some real beneficiaries getting benefited by this. Thank you.
Sir, some big builders are developing the some big builders are developing affordable housing, and they get the TDR, and that TDR becomes the business at some times. So what can be happen in such a time?
TDR basically not in Gujarat. I don't know if there is there, but actually I have seen it's a very successful scheme in Rajasthan. Bombay also the extra FSI what you get, that that is helping them. But we have not come across too many TDR projects happening in Gujarat. But Rajasthan, you go, you will be surprised. In Jaipur, almost every third project is having a TDR, and it's being delivered. In fact, Rajasthan is one state where the housing policies were way back formed, so it was so pro buyer. I'm sure here also work is happening. So TDR thing also will, but TDR they deliver because there is some penalty also if they don't deliver in on time. Because in Rajasthan, I'm sure, because since it's a state subject, so my insight is not that deep. But Rajasthan, they have penalty also. Not that first you have to develop the EWS. Then you have to, whatever extra FSI you can use only if you develop ESWS and MIG. And then you can use that. Thank you.
Anyone else? हमने वो तो 6 नहीं वागे पण वागी गया. It was very interactive. Yeah, thank you.
And especially when you are playing a solo, then it becomes more difficult always to be more vigilant. So if I have a partner and we are playing the cricket, then he can come on this side of the crease and I can see the crowd. But here, since I was batting only, so I thought I was more vigilant. So thank you for keeping me engaged.
Thank you very much for all of you once again. Thank you, Shukla ji, for a really deep inside thoughts. Very provocating questions also over there. I'm really, really happy to see you all. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Yeah.
We'll meet again.
Yes, will please come forward for the small memento which we are going to offer. one more thing I want to say is, Sanjay bhai had, written a book on affordable housing. So he's presenting that book to Shukla ji.